A new fire with an anniversary looming. Tonight, another blaze at the McClung warehouses. Now, city officials are searching for answers, and the historic property sees even more damage.
There's some wet conditions on the way. Stay tuned because we'll go through exactly when you can expect that rain coming up.
News is brought to you in high definition exclusively by Harper Auto Square. You are watching WBIR TV, Channel 10, Knoxville. The news starts now.
I live a mile away, and a mile away I could see a massive, massive fire.
A sight all too familiar on the downtown Knoxville skyline, flames ripping again from what's left of the old McClung warehouses, almost exactly 7 years after the first blaze destroyed those buildings. Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Jennifer Meckles. A massive blaze, hours of fighting the flames, even more property destroyed. Tonight, firefighters are still on the scene of today's fire at the McClung warehouses in downtown Knoxville. It started early this morning and just 1 week before the 7th anniversary of the last big fire at the very same spot. Tonight we have team coverage from downtown Knoxville. Our crews are stationed at the corner of Broadway and Jackson Avenue. WBIR 10 News reporter Evan Johnson joins us first. He's here to tell us more about the investigation and how that scene looks now. Evan?
Hey, good evening, Jennifer. Early this morning, there were 3 buildings standing behind me, but take a closer look as I step out of the way. You can see there are only 2. The building that once stood in the middle of those 2 remaining structures was torn down several hours ago because firefighters say it was a threat to the others. It's just the latest in a long day of battling yet another fire at these warehouses. 100-foot flames lit Knoxville skyline early Saturday morning.
It looked to me like the fire was higher than the TVA towers over there.
Around 3:30 a.m., firefighters were called to the McClung warehouses on West Jackson Avenue near Broadway. The flames so intense, the fire department immediately called in a second alarm.
You could see the embers actually hitting other buildings. I was standing, I think, close enough to actually feel some of the embers falling down, kind of like rain.
There wasn't much time to think.
Daniel Odell lives in the building next to the warehouses. The screaming fire alarms jolted him awake. He and other neighbors were told to evacuate their homes.
Ran outside first, downstairs, make sure it wasn't our building that was in trouble, and then ran back inside to get people up, make sure everybody was out.
Meanwhile, about 40 firefighters worked through below freezing temperatures to prevent the fire from spreading. The buildings are so structurally dangerous, firefighters don't enter, and so old that one-time cleaning practices may have contributed to the amount of flames.
A common practice years ago was to take oil, kerosene, wipe down these wood floors to keep dust down, and so a lot of these old wooden floors in these buildings were just saturated with years and years of kerosene and oil being rubbed on those wooden floors.
KFD is still investigating the cause of the fire, but firefighters believe that oil helped fuel it into the inferno seen across the city.
I mean, it makes you fearful when you see something that's out of control, completely out of control.
Now, there are a couple of important notes about this fire. First, earlier today while I was out here, I saw a couple of arson investigators out here. And Knoxville Fire Chief Stan Sharp, he was hesitant to pin an official blame cause yet, but he says he believes that someone or some people are involved in some form. And Jennifer, the second point that I want to point out is that unlike the last big blaze back in 2007, today no one was hurt.
That's some very good news indeed. Thank you very much, Evan, for your reporting. And again, next week marks the 7th anniversary of the big fire that initially destroyed those warehouses. They've been a significant part of Knoxville now for more than a century. It was once a series of buildings, the earliest dating back to the late 1800s. For most of their history, the warehouses served as shipping headquarters for the McClung Hardware and Supplies Company. In the early 1990s, Mark Saroff acquired the properties. Although the city pushed for redevelopment of the area, the warehouses sat empty for years. Then, February 7th, 2007, a massive fire destroys 2 of the buildings and injures 3 firefighters. The fire department would return to the warehouses for a number of smaller fires, many of them set by homeless people living in the area. KFD even added the buildings to a list of properties they will not enter during a fire due to structural dangers. When KCDC tried to take ownership of the properties in 2009, Saroff sued them and the city of Knoxville. When he entered bankruptcy in 2010, the properties fell under the watch of a bankruptcy trustee. Finally, in July 2013, an agreement. The lawsuit is settled, and in November, the city of Knoxville acquired the warehouse properties for $1.45 million, with plans to seek a developer for the area as commercial and residential space. So now, what is next for these properties? We're going to send it back out to the scene where 10 News reporter Steve Butera tells us what city officials are saying about the future there. Steve, what can you tell us?
Hi, Jen. Well, simply put, we don't know. That is the simple answer behind it. Neither the city knows. Preservation groups we spoke to don't know. It really ultimately comes down to two questions. Number one, what is the condition of these buildings? Are they salvageable? Are they potentially livable down the road? And number two, will the city, who again, they own the structures, will the city be able to continue the process of trying to resell these buildings down the road? That right now is up in jeopardy as far as whether or not we're going to be seeing that happen so quickly as early as this year. I want to show you a little bit of video from just a couple of hours ago, about 3 o'clock, 12 hours, half a day since this fire first broke out, and there were firefighters still trying to search and douse any hot spots. So you heard a couple of minutes ago, we've gone from 3 standing buildings down to 2, and that could interfere for when the city decides to start requesting for proposals for private development. That is called an RFP process. If you heard of that before, we're told the city could start opening for proposals soon, but for now, it may be uncertain.
Well, there's real value to the building for its historic status. There's no doubt about that. But we'll just have to assess and see what feasibility remains in front of us, and at that time see whether it can be salvaged.
Now, since November, the city has been trying to stabilize these buildings, the 3 buildings now down to 2, making sure nobody was inside, blocking any entrances, pretty much trying to keep the integrity of them, as it were, for that future possible future development. Jen, I also spoke with the folks over at Knox Heritage earlier today. Members say that they are really saddened by this news for obvious reasons, and they hope to plan and meet with the city next week to kind of see what the next steps will be with that.
All right, Steve, lots of questions still. Thank you very much. And you can follow this story as it develops right here on 10 News, also on WBIR.com. Coming up later tonight, we will explore more about the future of these warehouses and how today's fire could interrupt some major development plans. Switching gears now, 3 boys are hospitalized tonight after they fell through ice into an East Tennessee lake this afternoon. Roane County officials say it happened on Watts Bar Lake, where the ice broke and the boys fell through. Neighbors said the 3 boys were at a birthday party when they decided to venture onto the ice to fish. This is pictures there from one of the neighbors. When the ice broke, the boys clung to a buoy to stay afloat. Neighbors say after several attempts to help, a local pastor and his son were finally able to reach the boys by boat and pull them to safety. Lifestar took the boys to UT Medical Center. 1 boy is now in serious condition. The other 2 are listed as stable. Tonight on the Night Beat, we will hear from that pastor who rescued the boys. You can catch that story at 11 right here on WBIR. Well, what a nice warm-up we had for the first half of our weekend. However, this might be a little short-lived. We're going to check in now with meteorologist Ella Dorsey. She's on the weather porch, enjoying the last bit of some of this nice weather. Hi, Ella.
Yes, it's beautiful out here. I don't even have a coat on, and it feels pretty nice. It's in the upper 50s right now. We are going to be quite slow to cool this evening, so it's going to be great to get outside and go out and enjoy this last nice weather, because we are going to have some rainy conditions work their way in through tomorrow and into next week. As we take a look at your nightly outlook, we are going to be very slow to cool again. So by 11 p.m., 46 degrees, mostly cloudy skies. Going to feel really warm out there with calm winds. Now tonight, low of 40, isolated showers through the night. But tomorrow is when we're really going to start to see these showers through the morning hours. 70% chance through the day tomorrow. Continuing into tomorrow night, becoming very heavy overnight on from Sunday into Monday before clearing out Monday morning. So once again, it's going to be quite a rainy day for your Super Bowl, so make sure that you are enjoying the game inside. Back to you, Jen.
Some good advice. Thanks so much, Ella. All right, hundreds of people got free medical, dental, and vision care today at the remote area medical clinic in East Knoxville. Volunteers say people started lining up overnight for today's clinic. It was at the Jacob Building in Chilhowie Park. Inside, doctors, dentists, optometrists, they gave folks free physicals, teeth cleanings, even vision testing today. Ram says these clinics are so important for some patients because this is the only way they will get that medical attention.
regardless, some people who are employed are really underinsured. So the dental side and the vision side is a large part of about 95% of the folks that come want that service. So it is very important because even with some of the working public, they still need those services they can't afford.
In all, today's clinic helped serve more than 550 people. The clinic will be back open again tomorrow. That's the good news. They expect to serve about 300 more people. Stay with us. We're coming back with a Check Your Forecast.